You prosecutor. You should be able to handle this because of him. Say Nikki Haley or somebody you're going against. This is him. Shouldn't be hard. That was my point. That is my point. And that's going to be my point until we see her campaigning the way presidential candidates normally campaign. She's got my vote because I can't vote for him. But I don't want to vote for her just because I don't want to vote for him. I want to vote for her because she shows me she's the one.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, y'all, Stephen A is doing it again, y'all. He out here cooning and ruining in these streets again. He just released another episode on his podcast where he came out and he basically chastised Kamala Harris. He expressed his disappointment and discontent with her and her campaign and all the shenanigans going on with that situation. And as you can see in that little clip, he came out at the end of it and said, well, she got my vote. What? Y'all, it struck me as odd. Struck me as weird because he came out in such a way. He's repeatedly calling her a prosecutor, but he came out like the prosecutor in this instance, and he prosecuted the case against her. Well, it kind of made me feel good because he knew all of the facts. He laid them out. He made the case why no one should be voting for Kamala. And then when he finished laying out all those facts, he said, well, she got my vote. And y'all, that's what we're going to go over today. We're going to review this clip and react to it because I don't understand what would make a person do what he just did. It kind of reminded me of James Comey when he came out and prosecuted the case in the public against Hillary Clinton and then said, but I'm not going to charge her. Kind of reminded me of Special Prosecutor Hur, who investigated the case of Joe Biden and his traitorous shenanigans and how he used America and sold us out to enrich his family. Well, Hur came back with his report and said, you know what? Joe Biden did all these things. He did them knowingly. He did them willingly. But I'm not going to charge him. Well, that's what Stephen A did. He came and laid out all the facts against Kamala Harris and then said, well, she still got my vote regardless. Well, what's the point, bro? If she got your vote regardless and she can do anything and still have your vote, what's the point in making the video? Y'all, check this out. Let's get into what Stephen A is putting down.
Democratic nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris, sat down for her first interview since entering the race 5 weeks ago, alongside VP nominee, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Both were interviewed by CNN's Dana Bash. When asked what she would do on day one as president, Harris said she would look for ways to, quote, strengthen the middle class, end quote, and try to bring down housing prices nationwide. Harris also plans to extend a $6,000 child tax credit to families in the first year of a child's life. Former President Trump's campaign is mocking Vice President Harris for bringing Walz to her first interview since launching her bid for the White House. However, Trump's first interview, just to get this out of the way, you remember his first interview after the Republican National Convention was a joint interview alongside his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, with Fox News' Jesse Waters. And if you look back over the last decade, presidential candidates have sat for interviews with their running mates, including John McCain with Sarah Palin in 2008. Barack Obama did the same with Joe Biden that same year as well. Hillary Rodham Clinton and Tim Kaine did a joint interview in 2016. And finally, Donald Trump and Mike Pence also sat down together in 2016. That was a quote that a lot of people were making. And I understand that quote. Let's put that note up because I want the public to see. I ain't going to let you know who it is because I love her to death. You understand that she's entitled to her opinions. But damn it, I want y'all to see the kind of stuff that I got to deal with right here, okay? Now, damn it, that's not enough on the screen. Some of it is cut out. So I need to be able to read this post that she sent to me. Respectfully, I respectfully disagree. There have been at least 4 presidents to date who have sat for an interview with their presumptive vice presidential nominee, and that includes Trump, Pence. The vice president's selection matters right now is taking up space in Trump's head, causing him to show out and all of this other stuff. This is what she said. This is what she said. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want, and I say this albeit rhetorically, to members of my staff, to Democrats and liberals I know everywhere, to black women who are supporting Kamala Harris. If you want to win the election, listen to me, America. Listen to me. All of that rhetoric y'all talking don't mean a damn thing, including the text that I just read to you on the air. We're trying to win an election. And I don't say we like I'm some liberal because I'm a registered independent.
Well, if you're a registered independent, Stephen A., why you sound so much like a lefty? You don't sound independent. I, too, am a registered independent, Stephen A., and when I talk my talk, it don't sound nothing like yours because yours has such a left-wing slant to it. Seem like you already in the bag. Seem like you already made up your mind, bruh. Don't seem like you're independent at all. Seems like you're LARPing as an independent because you don't want to be judged as a leftist.
I say we, people who don't want Trump to win. You bring up all of those presidents and all of their sit downs with vice presidents. Did any of them avoid a primary? Was any of them vice president when the president, the incumbent, literally had the path paved for him and everybody was moved out of the way so he couldn't be exposed for being cognitively declining?
Now, see, this is the part I like, y'all. I like this because Stephen A. knows the facts. And he lays it out in this video in such a way that we can all take it in and understand. Now, this man know what he's talking about. He is just in the corner of a certain party, and he's willing to go along with that party despite what he knows about the facts. So many people I talk to and encounter on the left are in the same position Stephen A. is in. They know it's not right. They know they're being scammed. They know they're being swindled. But still willing to go along with it anyway. Willing to sell a whole country down the river because they can't see themselves supporting the opposition party. Well, that's not independent at all, sir, ma'am, sir, ma'am.
Did that happen with Barack Obama and Joe Biden? Did that happen with Trump and Pence? Did that happen with Hillary and Tim Kaine? Did that happen with Clinton and Gore? Did that happen with HW? I mean, think about it for a second here.
It don't take much thought. All it takes is a little look at history, a quick look back. Some of us lived through all of that. We know what it is. No, it didn't happen with any of those candidates that you mentioned. But there's a first time for everything, obviously.
And Mr. Dan Quayle himself, I had brain lock for a second. Pay attention. None of these people avoided a primary. None of these people were people that you didn't see debating candidates for their own party, where the people selected them. That did not happen with Kamala Harris. That did not happen before June 27th when Joe Biden showed up in a debate. And as Anthony Scaramucci, showing up on News Nation, being interviewed by Chris Cuomo, pointed out, and I quote, during the debate, President Joe Biden looked like a dude standing in a nursing home waiting for a nurse to feed him applesauce. That is a quote. That is a quote. And if Joe Biden looked that way in June 27th, what was he a month earlier? or a month before that, or a month before that, when those debates could have taken place. It was nowhere. We didn't see it because the Democrats greased the skids.
How can you know all this, Stephen A., and not be persuaded to get off the plantation? How can you not be persuaded that the other candidate is in the best interest of the country? How can you not be persuaded that you are being swindled and scammed? It's obvious. You see it. You're laying out the facts for us all to see. You know what's going on.
So he didn't have to face competition. These are facts. These are facts. So if that is the backdrop, and you have somebody like Trump, who's very, very short on substance when he's articulating his message and defers to insults and one-liners and doing all of these kind of things, I believe you're playing right into his hands. You can't see that? You, Kamala Harris, you're the vice president of the United States. You are a former senator, a former state attorney general in the second largest state in the region, in the republic. You're a former prosecutor. This man has been indicted. He's been convicted on 34 felony counts. He's been impeached twice. He's lost civil cases. And oh, by the way, he gets grilled at the National Association for Black Journalists, and his immediate response is, it's a very horrible question, the worst question that could have ever been asked. You didn't even say hello. How are you? This is what he does. He goes up against Marco Rubio. He called them Little Marco. He said Jeb Bush, low energy. Carla Fiorini, she's a 4. Teasing Chris Christie about his weight. Called Ron DeSantis sanctimonious. The man comes up with one-liners that are catchy, and as a result, people gravitate to that. They pay very little attention to whatever substance he may have or is lacking.
You know what they pay very little attention to, Stephen A.? You ran down all those positions that Kamala has held in the past. They pay very little attention to how she was placed in those positions. Well, she's been riding the DEI train her whole career. And some other trains that had put her in position as the district attorney in San Francisco. That led to her appointment, election as the Attorney General of the state of California. That led to her appointment as a state senator for the state of California, in much the same way that Adam Schiff is about to become a senator in the state of California. Don't nobody want Adam Schiff, but can't nobody stop him because the state is so rigged. Yeah, it was rigged for her as well. So don't try to come at us Californians and tell us about her credentials, because we were here for those credentials. We know how she got them. Unless you want to talk about how she got them, then you shouldn't mention them, Stephen A.
And he wins anyway. And he doesn't even do it by winning the popular vote. He lost the popular vote in 2016. He lost it again in 2020. You, Kamala Harris, what the hell are you doing? I'm not saying what are you doing as in right now. The strategy thus far is fine. I'm talking about moving forward. And when you know the world is transfixed on you as the potential next president of the United States, and we're looking to see what you do, you show up with Tim Walz by your side? Really? Really? You know we were looking for you. You know we wanted to hear from you. No disrespect to him whatsoever, but ain't nobody, how many times you gonna hear that he's a school teacher and a former coach? That he gets you? How many times? We know this already. We got it.
Stephen A. is being rhetorical here, y'all. He already knows the answers to the questions he's positing. He knows that if she shows up by herself, you're going to get a word salad. And it's funny because look at this picture on your screen right here. You see her sitting at that table? Ain't no paper in front of her. There's no notes anywhere to be found, but when they zoom in on her, you see she constantly looks down at the table as if she's reading from notes. We know she had notes. This was a pre-recorded interview. It wasn't live. Well, she's clearly reading from notes on the paper. So why would you take a shot like this and remove the paper from the table? It's a manipulation, y'all. It's a finesse. And Stephen A. falling for it, even though he knows better.
You want to talk to us about the state of affairs in Minnesota? You want to talk to us about it being one of the highest tax states in the republic?
No.
You want to talk to us about whatever crime is going on there?
No.
What your positions were during the riots, et cetera, et cetera? I'm down with you. I got it. But there's millions of people who disagree. If you want to go that route, no. Nobody cared. You know why? They want to hear from her. And why do they want to hear from her? Because when she was the vice president, you never heard from her.
Hold on, Stephen A. Full stop, bruh. He said when she was the vice president, bruh, she's the vice president right now. She's the vice president today, Stephen A. What are you talking about when she was? Yeah, we know. It's been 3.5 years and she's done absolutely nothing. But now she's put her hat in the ring. And she's still doing absolutely nothing. You talking about was. What is she doing today, Stephen A? Harp on that, bruh. You know better.
And she was getting blamed for stuff that she may not have deserved to get blamed for. Well, what is it? We're blaming you for flip-flopping on fracking. Is it true? Are you? Healthcare. Has your position flip-flopped on that? Or is it the same? They're talking about, you got surrogates out there talking about, now you're willing to support building a wall after you spoke against it. You know, is that true? Is it? These are legitimate questions, is all I'm saying. I'm not castigating her. I'm not casting convictions upon her or anything like that. I'm saying we want to hear from her.
Well, thank you, Stephen A., for being fair enough to admit that these are legitimate questions, because your comrades on the left try to call us crazy. Try to call us biased, even try to call us racist for asking the very questions that you are positing here, Stephen A. Thank you for normalizing these questions and saying that they're fair, because they are. But she don't want to answer them. And I think you know why, Stephen A.
I don't give a damn about hearing from Tim Walz right now. He's the vice president nominee. We got it. We understand. We ain't trying to hear from him, no. We want to hear from her. Because we've been waiting to hear from you for 4 years. We want to see where you stand and why. And oh, by the way, it's Teflon done as Donald Trump may be. That's with his constituents. It's not with registered independents. That's who you're trying to win over. Where you at? Ladies and gentlemen, she ain't going up against Mitt Romney, who knows his stuff. Say what you want about Ron DeSantis. He knows his stuff. She ain't going up against Nikki Haley.
In all fairness, Stephen A., all of those people you mentioning, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, all them folks you want to throw out there like they're better than the candidate, like they're better than the former president, like they, quote unquote, know their stuff. To be fair, Stephen A., they all lost.
Whatever your positions may be, with the border wall, with inflation, with crime in democratic cities, although there's crime in Republican-led cities too, the point is, that ain't even it. The issue is, you did this in your first press conference, Kamala Harris. You sat up there and said, believe me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. You talked about dealing with criminals, fraudsters, and, con artists. And then you said, believe me when I say, ladies and gentlemen, I know Donald Trump's type. Well, if you know his type and you're accustomed to dealing with him, why is he the one doing a bunch of interviews?
You know what else she said, Stephen A.? And you on point, bro. You over the target. I'm with you so far, but I believe there's a big old but coming. You laying out all these facts, but I believe there's a pivot in our near future. But given all that, Stephen A., you know what else she said? She said, if you got something to say, if you got something to say it to my face. Well, that's big talk for a little 5'1" lady. She's stepping into the ring with a knockout puncher. And she talking big, but she acting real small. Stephen A. has admitted here that she's hiding. They don't want her to speak on her own. They don't want her to get off teleprompter. They don't want you to know who she really is. But some of us on the left coast know exactly who she is. Admit it, Stephen A. Even you know who she is.
Again, the strategy was fine. I'm not complaining about the strategy you employed up to this point. I'm saying be clear. That ain't going to win you the presidency. And for your first interview, and by the way, you know the code that he's using. Nod your head, Rashawn. Nod your head, Honor Free, especially you, Honor Free. Oh, especially you. All right. And you too, Bailey. All of you. Nod your head. Is Trump, yes or no? Is Trump not using codes when he points out that she's hiding?
No, bro, that's just what I said. That's not code. He's not sending secret messages. She's hiding. It's a fact. Don't try to impugn his integrity when he's speaking the truth. That's why you bringing it up now, because you know what it is. At the very least, you know what it looks like. And if it looks like that, then don't try to besmirch his reputation for interpreting it that way. She's hiding. And Donald Trump about to come out and give her what she asked for. If you got something to say it in my face. Well, don't run from the debate, as is rumored around these internet streets. Don't run. Don't back out. Because I think he's willing to do exactly what you requested of him and say it to your face.
He's leaning on gender.
Come on.
I'm a man. I'm strong. Look at the war in Russia and in Ukraine with Russia. Look at what's going on with Israel and Palestine, in the Gaza Strip and beyond. Look at the kind of troubles that we're experiencing, whether it's North Korea, it's China, or whatever. Iran, Iraq. I mean, come on, y'all.
These are legit concerns, Stephen A. What are you talking about? You can't shrug this off like it's nothing. The world is on fire, Stephen A. You need someone who is qualified. You need a strong leader. Why would you put a marshmallow in office at a time like this, when there's so many global issues going on at once? No, you need a strong leader. Stop trying to downplay it, Stephen A., like these things don't matter. The fact that you bringing it up means that you recognize the seriousness of the issue.
Look at all of this. You think she's strong enough? She can't even show up to do a hard interview. I show up all the time. This is what he's doing. We all know what that is. You feeding into machismo. You trying to say commander-in-chief.
Is that not the job title, Stephen A.? Yeah, that's exactly what he's trying to say. Commander-in-chief. A specific job title and function that has certain requirements that thus far she has not lived up to. We haven't seen her qualifications for commander-in-chief. Y'all trying to put her in there as another DEI hire. And at this point in time, with all these things going on around the world that you have itemized here, this is not the time for a DEI president.
He didn't do that to Hillary. He said a lot of things about Hillary, like crooked Hillary and stuff like that. He ain't never implied she was scared.
Because Hillary ain't scared. Have you seen her kill list, bruh? Haven't you ever heard them call her Hillary Clinton? That's a well-deserved pejorative. No, Hillary put the smack down and people understood. People went against Hillary and they disappeared. No, she wasn't playing no games and she certainly wasn't hiding. You mess around with Hillary Clinton and she'll show up in your country. Anybody remember Gaddafi? Hillary will show up in your country talking about, we came, we saw, he died, cackle, cackle, cackle.
He ain't never implied she was running, because Hillary Clinton was smart as a whip and know her stuff. We all know, the most qualified woman to ever run for president in this country's history, without question. Ain't that supposed to be Kamala? HBCU grad, prosecutor, state attorney general, senator, reigning vice president of the United States of America. Kamala Harris has all the credentials in the world to stand tall, stand straight up, and be like, yo, this is the way it's going to be. Let's get it on. And as a prosecutor and as an attorney, as somebody who knows the law, as somebody who knows a criminal when she sees them, as somebody who knows a con artist when she sees them, and all of these other things that she said about him, why is this dude the one we see? Because the Democrats are telling her, well, you know what? Something ain't broke, don't fix it. We gain this momentum, we gain this momentum, we gain this momentum. They are right about that. And I'm not disagreeing with anybody on my team who feels otherwise. Here's my point. It doesn't matter if the regular process had been followed. But because they avoided the primaries, because they were accused of greasing the skids to disguise and hide Joe Biden from the rest of us in terms of the decline that was clearly taking place, she is now the Democratic nominee without having had to have a debate, without having to experience a primary, without having to campaign. It was handed to her.
Those are facts, Stephen A. I mean, you sound like a conservative. Bruh, you are prosecuting a case. Go ahead, Stephen A., and lay it out for us so that we can all understand it was not earned. It was given. That's what you just said. It was placed in her hands. They finessed the Democrat Party and hid Joe Biden to the point where no one else could compete against him. And then they pressured him, stabbed him in the back. I heard somebody say, no, Nancy Pelosi didn't stab him in the back. She looked him in the eye when she slit his throat. But they pressured him to step down. But they waited for the situation where no one else could be the nominee but Kamala. No one else could step in but Kamala. They even finessed the situation so they couldn't have an open convention. Yeah, this thing is rigged, Stephen A., and it has been. Stop trying to pretend like it ain't. Everything you have stated is fact, sir. So why are you still caping for this woman?
In the eyes of the opposition, that is what they're going to say about her. Say what you will about Trump. He's supposed to be a criminal, right? He's supposed to be in jail, right? He's supposed to owe nearly $500 million, right? The bottom line is he's been the Republican nominee since 2016. And he's been through a myriad of debates. And on top of all of that, he got all of this law, these legal issues descending down upon him. And the people have spoken. The Republicans said they want him. All of them. Nobody said that about Kamala Harris until July 21st. So you don't get to just skate to the election and have a debate September 10th on ABC, and you know what? We may barely see you. Nah. Why also, ladies and gentlemen, Biden wasn't doing a bunch of interviews prior to the debate on June 27th, and then what happened thereafter with July and him stepping aside. So we have a White House that hasn't been active participants in communicating with the fourth estate, spanning months. Why are you running this country? Nah. I want you, Kamala Harris, to go out there and whip you know what of Donald Trump. That's what I want. Because it shouldn't be that hard. Who's going to vote for him is going to vote for him. Just like the left is going to vote for you. But us independents, yo, you can't take him. That's like Tommy Hearns or Mike Tyson getting into the ring with somebody with a glass jaw. You should be able to take them. We know they could fight too, but once they get clipped by somebody the likes of you, they supposed to fall. You prosecutor. You should be able to handle this because of him. Say Nikki Haley or somebody you're going against. This is him. Shouldn't be hard. That was my point. That is my point. And that's going to be my point until we see her campaigning the way presidential candidates normally campaign. She's got my vote because I can't vote for him. But I don't want to vote for her just because I don't want to vote for him. I want to vote for her because she shows me she's the one.
And there you have it, y'all. Is there nothing Kamala can do to sway this man's vote? He says he's an independent, but he's sure talking lefty. He laying out the facts like he knows them. Bam, bam, bam. Stephen A., you know what's going on here. Given those facts that you laid out, you shouldn't be voting for this person. Given the fact that you know all of the threats to this country, both foreign and domestic, you shouldn't be voting for this woman. Being that you see her hiding, being that you see her scammed into this position that she's currently running for the presidency without a single delegate vote. Being that you know that, Stephen A., you shouldn't be voting for her. And yet here you are saying, she got my vote. And not only that, but you're making videos like this in hopes that you would convince other people to lock their vote in for her as well. I see you, bruh. It's disguised as a challenge to Kamala. But really, it's a dog whistle to other folks who might be undecided at this point. To folks who might need a little coaxing, who might need a little push in the back. Stephen A. is here for it. He's giving you that little push you need to go right off back over to that plantation and stay locked in for another generation. Y'all let me know what you think about this foolishness. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video so we can get more people involved in the conversation, y'all. And like I always say, always remember and never forget, without the gospel, it's just chops. Until next time, peace.